Well, first and foremost, massively disappointed to have lost the game. And in life, you reap what you sow, and I said in my post-match podcast about that. As I said, I didn't think we prepared correctly for the game. I thought there was a laissez-faire attitude to the game, and we rightfully got punished in the big moment, unfortunately. And as I said, it was the nature of the goal that was really infuriating, because it's a free header from their biggest aerial threat in their team. And then sort of moments later, subsequently, he's got to go. It's a straight red. Webby's clean in. He's one-on-one. Just outside the area. To be fair, I wasn't appealing for a penalty, but ultimately, unfortunately, he was pulled back deliberately, and in the letter of the law, it's a sending off. And I was, as I said in my post-match on Saturday, I was really disappointed with the arrogant response I got from both officials. To be fair to the referee, he's made a decision. I think he's made the decision a little bit too quickly. He probably should have had a moment to himself to think about what he was going to do next, and maybe conferred with his linesman. But it is what it is. The referee, to be fair, did have the good grace to contact the club to apologise and acknowledge it should have been a red, but too little too late. But let me tell you, there was more reasons why we got beat by Shefford. It wasn't just down to that one decision. Overall in the game, as I said, we were flimsy in both boxes at best. I don't think, Connor Coulson, he played with a pulled or a torn thigh for 94 minutes and not had any issues in the game, unfortunately. But big moment, their lads aggressive in the box, gets a free header from 4 or 5 yards and scores, and we've had copious amounts of balls into the opposition box. And unfortunately, as I said afterwards, we were not brave and courageous in order to go and put our head where it hurts. And that hurt because it's something I hadn't seen coming from the group. But that's gone now, that's parked. I hope we don't look back on that and say what a disappointing result it was in the next 7 weeks. We've got a lot of work to do between now and then. But again, I have to give credit to Shefford and Campton. They were resilient, they were robust, they defended balls into their box, and in the big moments of the game, they came out on the right side of it. So well done to them. Obviously, as I said, we parked it after Saturday and we moved on to Tuesday, and hopefully a lot of lessons to be learned in order to make sure that we don't repeat that level of performance again. The players are well aware of my thoughts on that, and I don't see us chucking another stinker in like that, that's for sure. So in complete contrast to what we saw on Saturday against Shefford, I thought we were absolutely excellent on Tuesday. We played an Aylesbury Vale side on a really good run of form, 1 defeat in 7, and they were comprehensively beaten by us. But like I said, they're a decent side, and that's testimony to my players and the reaction. And I said it when I was driving home to the coaching staff that we'd get a reaction on the Tuesday. I know this group of players really well. I know how hurt they were from Saturday. I know how some of my comments really affected them. And that's good for our boys because they came back swinging, and I thought from the first minute we played with a real attacking intent. I thought our recovery running in moments where they got a couple of wrigglers and dribblers and they've got some good pace at the front end of the pitch, when they started breaking out, our recovery running and ability to get ourselves out of trouble was good. We restricted them to strikes outside the goal. And I just thought we were excellent from the start to finish. Cole Knox came in and had a wonderful debut, really solid, really composed, good communication back there, and 2 big crosses he comes and claims late in the game just to take a little bit of pressure off of us. Delighted for Danny Webb to get his goal and his man of the match. I thought he was excellent. He caused them all manner of problems. And Kelvin, bringing him back into the group, we've had to be really cautious with him, but took his 2 goals exceptionally well. And we were just so different. It was like a completely different group of players from Saturday. We are going to have dips. We are going to have performance levels that aren't quite at our normal levels. But I thought Tuesday was exactly how we were against Cockfosters, was exactly how we were against Leverstock. The pitch is a lot more conducive to the way that we want to play here at home as opposed to going away from home. But I thought there was a real maturity to our group on Tuesday, and I was delighted for the players because, as I said, if I'm going to be critical, I'm going to make sure that I praise people in equal measures, and we deserved every bit of credit that we deserved on Tuesday, and it was a really good performance because, as I said, they were on a good run, and I thought we were comprehensively comfortable within the game. So very pleased. Great to have Carl Faulkner back. Great to have Manny back, getting themselves some vital minutes, and another run out for Dennis Visho, which was great, and it just allows us to start rotating the squad. Obviously the big blows, losing Alfie Osborne for a period of time, but I thought Harry Beaumont, who came on for him, was tremendous. I think he every time he's been asked to sort of deputise, he's been terrific. So glad to have him back to his form, and hopefully that will continue now between now and the remainder of the season. So as mentioned earlier on, delighted to welcome Carl Knox to the group. And firstly, I must thank Leighton Town for their contribution in terms of getting that one over the line. So a big thank you to Lee Bircham, because even though there's never to be a rivalry between the teams at the top, we actually get on quite well, all of us. So he was registered with Leighton. We asked them on Sunday, after we found out he was registered, if we could speak to him, and they were good as gold. And I must thank them for that, because as I said, to replace Connor Coulson or get somebody to fill in is not easy. Connor's an outstanding goalkeeper who's done really, really well, and it was important to get the right person in the goal. It's not a league for children, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's a really, really important position within it. So Carl came in, was excellent. Obviously, as mentioned earlier, it looks like we've lost Alfie Osborne for a period of time. We're still waiting to see the severity of that hamstring, but it wasn't good the way he went down, and he's been a massive player for us, Alfie. So we're hopeful we'll get him back between now and the end of the season. As I said, he's been really, really important, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, it's just not. We've not been able to get an update on him as of yet. Carl Faulkner obviously back, got himself some much needed minutes, as did Manny. Kelvin's now back to full fitness. As I mentioned last week, unfortunately, Liam McCrone is going to be probably missing for the rest of the season. We're still waiting on updates on Jardel Sterling and Terence Muchenaripe. So challenging times. We've had a 7-day approach going today from Kempston Rovers for Danny Webb. I spoke to Webby first thing this morning, as I do with all my players, and Webby was an emphatic no way. I'm happy where I am, delighted where I am, happy to stay. So that's another credit to Danny, because when we got Danny, he had a perfect opportunity to go and line his pockets and go and make himself a lot of money somewhere else in the division, and chose to stay with us, and that's testimony to him, but it's also testimony to A, how we recruit. We recruit good players. B, how they develop and continue to play well here, which I think is, again, speaks volumes of the environment. But most importantly, how our players are made to feel here, because that's not the first 7-day approach we've had for players. I think it's about the 15th we've had this season. I think we're going to get loads more between now and the end of the season. But it's testimony to the supporters, testimony to the directors, testimony to everybody involved with the club, all the media people that keep the profile of the club high and create that atmosphere and environment where people don't want to move on. And in a world of footballers nowadays, as I've mentioned before, that we'll move down the road for £1 extra. I'm not judging that, but that's the way that football generally is. We've got a group of players that remain loyal. So delighted that he's going to be staying with us. And as I said, we love having him here. We love working with him. And his performances since he's walked in through the door have been tremendous, and long may that continue. So I mentioned it in my post-match on Tuesday. It's the game I'm actually worried about the most, and I don't hide away from that. I don't shy away from that, because it's one of those games, in theory, that you've got so much to lose, very little to gain. If you go and beat the team bottom of the league, more often than not, people go, well, you're expected to. If you don't, then it's a catastrophe. But what I do know is that London Colney's league position and their recent form don't marry up. They are a side that have been exceptionally competitive. Where they were taking a few blastings at the start of the year, fair play to the club there. They've got some good players in now. They are competitive. They had to zeros and ones. I don't hide from it. It's a very, very hard place to go and play. It's going to be difficult. It's a difficult pitch. It's not ideal to go in terms of turning up and thinking it's going to be a lovely day of tiki-taka. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to be a very, very roll your sleeves up, do the right things, make the right decisions. Don't create problems for yourselves by doing silly things in the wrong areas of the pitch. And that's nothing that we haven't preached all season. And like I said, the majority of problems that we've had in the last 10 weeks have been from our own doing. So it's a really, really tough game, and as I said, anybody that thinks it's going to be a stroll in the park, we've got a divine right to turn up at London Colney and beat them. We'll be in for a fright. So I'm expecting a really, really tough game. As I said, they've worked absolute wonders over there in terms of the way that they've kept on going. There are good people there, Ken and Kim there, who do exceptionally well to keep that football club. And like I said, I don't think it's any secret in terms of some of the budgets in our league. To be as competitive as they have recently, they're a decent side, and they're a threat to us. So I'm taking Saturday really, really seriously. It's a game that, as I said, I don't hide from. I'm very worried about. So as long as we turn up and do what we do, I don't worry as much. If we turn up now and we turn up anything like we did last Saturday, we're bang in trouble, and that's the message that will be going to the players, moving forward ahead of Saturday. So it'll be the first time we played Biggleswade United. They obviously had a really good run in the Vars. They were flying. They've had a bit of a dip, but most teams at this level, we've had a dip at a time in November. Most teams have a dip, which makes them very dangerous. You know, they've got one of the top leading goal scorers in the division. They've got genuine attacking threats at the front end of the pitch. They've picked up some good results. And I've never beaten Biggleswade United before, and I'm expecting a tough test. But I say it every single week. There is no gimmies at this level, and I sound like a broken record, but it's the truth. And Tuesday night is going to be tough. It's going to be a freezing cold March, and it will be a game again, probably decided on small margins. And one thing for us is that there's a consistent theme with us when we play to our DNA with an intensity, with an energy. We go from the front and we play properly. We're a good side, and we're a very hard side to beat. When we turn up and stroll through games and think all of a sudden we've arrived on the circuit, that's when we become a problem to ourselves. So it's going to be a real tough week over the next 6-7 days. We're going to have a lot of challenges thrown our way, and if we want to stay in contention, we're right in the mix at the moment in towards that top 4. If we want to stay in there and be in that top 2 between now and the end of the season, we've got to make sure that we go to these places and pick up points. That's what we have to do. If we don't, then, you know, with all due respect, we'll be sitting here in 3 or 4 weeks and there'll be nothing to play for between now and the end of the season. So big 3 or 4 weeks coming up, starting again on Saturday.